Hello everybody and welcome back to the Gaming Powerups. On today's video we'll be taking a look at my modded PlayStation 2. Just some of the features that it has. We'll go through it, go through the components, and just kind of what you would need if you wanted to do your own modded PlayStation 2. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright everybody, so I'm going to turn on the PlayStation and show you guys the menu on the Freemic boot. So it loads up fairly quickly. If there's a game in there, the game will boot right away. So this will it won't hinder the booting of a game that's in there. So your menu is here. Your browser is still your regular browser. If you have a game inserted, you can go and check it out here. Check out your memory card, whatever you've got on there. This one particularly I use mainly for Freemic boot or testing out some games. So I've got a couple of save games on here, but for the most part, I just use it for Freemic boot, and I use another memory card to save actual games onto. So now there is a couple of different options and things that are on here. I've not actually played around with them. The biggest thing that I was into is really primarily the open PS2 loader to be able to play games off of the hard drive, which is kind of the reason I started down the path of the Freemic boot. So another interesting little area here is the U-Launch ELF. So this gets you into just the different modules and different menus that are that reside in the memory card, the flash drive, hard drive. So you can go in through here, check out whatever that is you need to look for. If you're modding your PlayStation for the first time, you'll need to go in here and move some of the things around. You'll see boot. The .elf files are what the PlayStation reads off of. So it shows you just the different boots that they have here. So we'll restart the machine and we'll go into the Open PS2 loader. So there's a couple of different programs they have for running games off of the hard drive. The Open PS2 launcher is kind of the go-to for most people, and you can kind of customize this. Actually, before we go in there, I'll show you in the configurator here for the Freemic boot. You guys can change the setup or the list in the way that they go. You can see here. It shows you, in what line. See my finger right there. What item shows up in the menu at what position, and you can go all the way. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You got a whole bunch of them on there if you need to. I don't think you would need 100 lines, but if you did, then they're there available for you. So we'll exit here, go back into the menu, and now we will open the Open PS2 launcher. So once it opens up, you'll be greeted by the menu, and then it goes right into like your settings menu. So you can go in here. Best thing to do especially if you're playing on an old CRT TV, and then you decide to bring it out to an HD TV, you will have to set your display. I just leave it on auto. That's probably your best bet, because a lot of times if you are playing this and you have it set to, let's say, HD TV 480p at 60 hertz, if you go plug this back into your CRT, you'll see all this until the game launches, and then you won't see anything off the game. So I just leave this on to auto, relieves any confusion or frustration afterwards. So again, your settings in here. Another thing you always want to make sure, if you're running USB, because again, you can mod your slim PS2 or your fat PS2. The one I'm using right now is my fat one because I have the hard drive on the inside. You can use an external hard drive on these. I wouldn't recommend it just for how slow the USB read speed is. It's only USB 1. Now we're up to USB 3. So the games do take a little bit longer to load. The cutscenes take a little bit longer to go through. The loading screens take a little bit longer. I mean, it's by all means can be done if that's the only option you have. But if you do have the option of having the fat PS2, I would recommend throwing the hard drive on the inside, because the read time is quite a bit different. So, like, I ran Evil Dead Regeneration. I booted it off the disc, and it was about 1 minute and 53 seconds until turning the game on, until getting to being able to actually play. Off the hard drive was like 1 minute 10 seconds. So it was a good 40 seconds of cut time. I also have another option for running games off a hard drive. Basically, is an SD card loaded, and the thing thinks it to be a hard drive. So running it off there is down to like 53 seconds. So impressive speeds that you can get off there. But again, if you're going to use USB, you can select your menu, manual, auto. Again, for this instance, I'm not using USB, so I'll leave that off. Hard drive, leave auto, same thing. It just will automatically find the games and populate them for you. So once you hit circle, go over here. I don't have a lot of list of games. This little hard drive setup I have only run just 2 games off of, just for testing purposes. But, let's get into some Mortal Kombat. Who doesn't love Mortal Kombat? So you'll notice that it doesn't take quite as long to load up to the game. Now again, this one's being run off an SD card. So it's an SD card that is fitted to a circuit board that has a 2.5-inch IDE connector, like an old laptop hard drive connector. And then that goes into a 2.5-inch IDE to a 3.5-inch IDE with power, so it can actually hook up to the PlayStation 2. Yes. Caution. Uses autosave. No problem. So everything is here. I am not very good at Mortal Kombat, but I still like to play it. Let's go with Goro. He's always usually a pretty good choice. So just gonna play through for a quick little round just to show you guys. No lag or anything like that. There's no stuttering, sputtering while playing the game. It runs just as it should.
Round 1. Fight!
I have won. So another interesting thing I want to show you guys. I'll reset, and we will go back to the OPL again. And there's actually an option in the game, so you guys can turn on certain settings, turn off certain settings. You can change the boot sequence or what memory card it reads off of. Like, you can create a virtual memory card, which it'll play off of the hard drive. So we'll just go into the game settings here. So you have all these different modes. I've never actually used them for anything. I've just never needed to. Unsure of what exactly they do. But the one is your VMC slot, so your virtual memory card slot. So you can set it to whatever you want to have it on. But it'll do it onto the hard drive as well, or you can create it onto your actual memory card itself. And then, you can test it to see, if you've put on some different options or whatnot. So we'll load it up. And it jumps right into the game again. So it loads it nice and quick. Now, there are certain options as well to push the resolution on here, so you can kind of output to 720 to 1080. But again, keep in mind that doesn't upscale the game itself. That only just will kind of clean up some of the edges, but it's still not a full like upscale or anything like that. It won't make this game look like it's a PS4 game. But so now we got to figure out what are the components that I need to use to get my PlayStation 2 to do this. How do we play games on our hard drive? So we will I will shut this down, open it up, and show you guys what's inside. So hang tight. All right, guys. So you will need a PlayStation 2 network adapter. So this is the original Sony one. You can find these knockoffs on like sites like AliExpress, on eBay. So this one here is the what originally they would have used, which is an IDE hard drive. So this is a 3.5-inch IDE connector with power. And then this is the part that plugs into the PlayStation. Now they do have ones that are SATA. They're SATA drives, so it doesn't have this. This connector is a little bit different, but that's most modern hard drives. So they're a little easier to find when it comes to finding a hard drive for that fits inside the PlayStation. So a couple things to note. So this is what I was using here. So this is an SD card that is on like an SD card reader, but it gets mounted as a hard drive. So it's not read as a flash drive, it's read as a hard drive. So this connector here is a 2.5-inch IDE. So this comes off from here. So this is a laptop adapter, is this one right here. So this is 2.5 inch, this is what they would put in older laptops. That plugs in, that's your hard drive. So because these not enough pins, it's not as big, and there's no power for this, the PlayStation can't read this on its own. So that's why I got this adapter here. So this is a 2.5-inch IDE to 3.5-inch IDE, but with power. You can get these without the power, but it does need the power separately, just so when it's running off of the network adapter. So this I find to be like the fastest read speed is using an SD card, but keep in mind, that a lot of SD cards, unless you're buying ones that, you know, have 250 gigs or whatnot, depending on how many games you want on there, this may not be the best option, but I just did it because I wanted to kind of see, you know, I was reading on the load times and whatnot, and it does seem to be a little bit faster on the SD card. Nothing game changing, but a little bit faster. So what you will typically use is a hard drive. Now I don't have a IDE hard drive handy. So this is a SATA connector that's here. So you have your power and then your info, where your info will come from. So this here, a full size hard drive will fit inside the PlayStation, but you would need the different SATA connector network adapter. You can get adapters for them, again, to fit on here. You can get IDE to SATA. There's quite a few options that you can get, but just keep in mind that the inside of the PlayStation Fat will only hold a hard drive with no real excess bulk on it, because it sits pretty tight in there. So, you know, if you've got a hard drive like this with a SATA connection and trying to get like an adapter to go to IDE, it most likely won't fit inside. Your best option would be to get a laptop hard drive if you wanted to do that, or just get the adapter. To be honest, they're about 10 to 15 bucks on AliExpress. And I've actually ordered a SATA one because I'm curious to see. I want to plug in this hard drive and see how it works. So I'll do a review on that once I get that in. So once you have your hard drive, once you have your, you know, whichever network adapter you're going to use, you will need a dedicated thumb drive, like this little Forza one here. Made myself a little note so I remember what is on here. So this is what your PlayStation will read for your OPL launcher. It'll read for, you know, your configuration and whatnot. You will need a memory card that is exploited with FreeMcBoot. Now, the way to get them on here is either having a PlayStation like mine that has the Swap Magic in it, or on it, I should say. So Swap Magic is just replacing the top shell on the PlayStation 2. I'm for certain these are a lot harder to find nowadays. I got this many years ago. Me and my uncle actually tried to put a mod chip in one, and we actually fried the board. So we ended up getting another PS2, and this was the better option. This you just unscrew it from the bottom. You know, bing, 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 2 on the sides, 8 screws, you pop it on, and it's good to go. So this just gives you an access door that you wouldn't normally have for a PlayStation 2. Normally the PlayStation just opens this way, forwards, and you don't have the top loader on here. So this works that you put in the boot disk, and then once the boot disk stops on the menu, you open up the top, take the disk out, put a burn disk in, close your lid, press X, and then it'll fire up the game. You can also run the ULaunch ELF off of that disk to exploit your memory card. Now, I know there are people online that will sell them already done. Some people have services that if you mail them out to them, they will exploit your memory card for you, send it back. If you do have the option of, if you have a mod chip in your PlayStation, then perfect. If you have swap magic, awesome. I know that on the slim versions, there are ways around of getting the, because it is a top loader, you know, by modifying the hatch door, being able to actually open up the PlayStation door while the disc is has stopped spinning. So there are some options out there for it. So once you have your free McBoot exploited memory card in, your USB stick, hard drive connected to your network adapter, fire this back into the back. This goes in, 2 screws on the back just to hold it in place, and you're good to go. Once you've got it booted up, it'll read off your memory card, off the thumbstick, and then you're able to play the games whatever you've got loaded on your hard drive. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the soft mod is only on the memory card. So, you know, whatever settings you've done, the second the memory card is actually taken out of the PlayStation, it just acts like a regular PlayStation again. So it's not something you have to have in there. You know, obviously if you're just booting off the hard drive, but if you decided just to play some games without it in there for whatever reason, that option is also there. Last thing that you will need is a cable like this. You know, this has this covers kind of everything. It's got the 3.5-inch IDE, the 2.5-inch IDE, the SATA drive, 2 USB, and it does come with independent power. For the old 2.5-inch IDEs, you don't need power for, but for the older, bigger drives, you do need separate power for it, so it does have that option as well. You will need to plug it in through this, so the computer does read it as a hard drive and not as just removable memory, just kind of like a thumbstick or whatnot. Same thing with the SD card version. If you're going to do the same thing, it's you can't just pop this into an SD card reader on the computer and then just add what you need to add to it. It does actually need to be on this board, plugged into this cable, plugged into the computer. Again, so the computer reads it as it is a hard drive and not as a flash drive. So those are all the components to making up a modded PlayStation 2. There's your drive back there. You can see that the bay is not very big, so you know you can't really kind of fit anything else besides the hard drive in there. Now, guys have gone as small as, you know, 10 gigabytes all the way up to, I got a friend of mine that has a 2 terabyte hard drive in his. So it all just depends on what you are, what you're looking at doing, how much memory you want to have your PlayStation 2 to have. And, you know, the last thing I would suggest is getting yourself some component cables for the PlayStation 2 if you plan to play it on an HD TV. They're fairly inexpensive, and you can actually use ones off of a PlayStation 3 if you have them, because it's the same connector as the PlayStation 3 as it is for the PlayStation 2. The component cables do just help clean up some of the lines, and it does look a lot nicer on an HD TV. So thank you guys for giving it a watch, and we will jump back into the chair. All right, everybody, so that's been my video on my walk around through a modded PlayStation 2. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. You know, what was your favorite part? Hey, have you modded your own PS2 before? You think you're going to try it now? Let me know in the comments down below. Or, guys, find me on Instagram at the Gaming Powerups. If you want to see me play some of these games, maybe not very well, you guys can find me on Twitch at the Gaming Powerups. Hit me up on Twitter at Gaming Powerups. And if you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Ping that bell notification. And until next time, gamers, game on.
But wait, there's more!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gaming Power-Ups. How do my eyes look like now, Annie?
Better.
On today's video, we're going to talk about my eyeballs and how big my eyeballs are when I stretch my eyeballs out like this.